what's going on, sports rehab experts? Today we're in the gym and we're going to be going over some of those exercises specific for treating IT band pain or that lateral outside knee pain that you've been getting. Now, in the last video, I'll put a link to it, we covered why we really want to emphasize the medial hamstring strength component to the IT band pain or anybody experiencing lateral knee pain. So be sure to watch that video if you haven't. It outlines why we're doing a lot of the activities that we are now. I think it's a drastically underestimated treatment plan of care, plan of action for somebody, and it's overlooked in a ton of individuals who experience an IT band. A lot of people just want to go and stretch the IT band, foam roll the IT band, or just do some general strengthening. And a lot of times that just leads to temporary results or less than optimal results. So if you really want to nip that IT band pain in the butt, get rid of it for good, these are some things that you're going to want to consider. Now, depending on the acuteness of this issue, how sensitive it currently is, we may have to start with something a little bit more general and work our way to something a little bit more specific later on as we're able to get to it. As I mentioned, make sure you watch that IT band video about the hamstrings. We're going to emphasize the hamstrings over any muscle group in this video too, but we're also going to include other muscle groups as well because that's part of a well-rounded treatment or plan of care to treat your pain. But nevertheless, when you go back to a lot of the exercises, or if you're trying to get the individual to experience less discomfort, we need to keep going back to the hamstrings, keep emphasizing, double down on a lot of the hamstring exercises that we're doing. But in today's video, we're going to be going over very general exercises at first, and then we're going to work our way up to stuff more and more specific. So first up is a simple hamstring curl. I told you this is going to be real specific when we start out. You can use a machine, you can use a band, and just kind of pull back to get that whole hamstring. This should be comfortable. You perform it in a comfortable range of motion. This does not have to be elaborate. This does not have to be sexy, but it's a way to start strengthening something. And again, I told you we're going to double down on the hamstrings. We're going to start with the hamstrings first and foremost. Perform this in a comfortable range of motion and with a comfortable but yet challenging resistance for you. Next up in the very simple exercises is a simple knee extension. Again, we're not doing anything sexy here, we're just kicking out into a band. And again, you perform this in a comfortable range of motion. The nice thing about a band is it's going to stop you shy. You're not going to be able to get very far with it initially, as opposed to a machine where you'd be able to kick through a full range of motion. Potentially, that entire range of motion is currently irritable for you. So you perform that knee extension in either an isometric or an isotonic or moving back and forth fashion through a comfortable range of motion. If you feel the outside knee tightening up, becoming excessively active, and you don't feel the majority of your muscle or your mid-quad, vastus medialis, VMO being active with this, and you just feel this outside knee, shorten that range of motion up, go with a little bit less resistance, or it may not actually be quite ready for this activity yet either. The telltale sign for that is if you do it and you're starting to feel a little bit of overactivation or tightness starting to develop, perhaps pain in that lateral outside knee compartment, that pain should go away immediately upon stopping. It should not linger around. Your pain should not be worse if you went for a walk afterwards. If any of those things happen, then you're probably being too aggressive at this current moment in time. Again, we want this to be as pain-free as possible. Ideally, you're not feeling this outside knee, you're just feeling quad at this point in time. If you are feeling outside lateral knee, you need to double down more on those hamstrings or start working on some of the other exercises we're about to go over next. Alright, so next up is a hamstring bridge on the mid-foot. So what we're going to do with this exercise, we're going to emphasize the medial hamstrings. How we do that is we put the feet slightly wider than shoulder width apart, and we're going to emphasize pushing the arches of our feet into the foam roller, lift and scoop our tailbone up. We're not thrusting up as high as we can. We're just lifting our hips up, and then we're going to roll the foam roller back towards us. And we should feel our hamstrings light up. If we want to get more hamstrings activated, we can put a ball in between the knees, and that will engage your inside medial hamstrings even more so. We'll hold this position isometrically, continue to pull the foam roller back towards you. To feel those hamstrings engaged, you need to be able to hold for a minimum of 10 seconds, working up to 30 seconds, doing multiple sets. Now, as this becomes easy, we can make it more challenging by progressing to a single leg and holding on one leg, challenging the hamstrings even more. You need to be able to, again, hold this for a minimum of 10 seconds. If you can't hold it for 10 seconds, then you go to 2 feet. And we're going to eventually progress that to 30-second holds, multiple sets on both sides. Now, most people have access to a foam roller, but if you don't, you can still get the same benefit with your feet flat on the ground. So same sort of thing, where our back's going to be flat, and we're just going to scoop our hips up off the ground. As our hips scoop up, we're going to push and shove our knees forward, almost like I'm going to drag my body across the ground. Again, we're going to feel inside aspect of our heels and feel the arches. That's going to engage the inside hamstrings a little bit more and will take away some of the tone and the tension you feel in the lateral hamstring. Or sorry, in the IT band or the lateral aspect of your knee. We want that area to be quiet. So again, feet slightly wider than shoulder width apart. Feel the inside of the heels. Feel the inside of the arches. Knees go forward as you tuck your hips up off the ground. Hold this position for a total of 10 seconds at minimum, working up to 30 seconds. Eventually you can progress to a single leg hold, where we're holding this position, feeling our hamstrings the whole entire time. Keep pushing the knees forward. Keep the hips up off the ground, but keep the low back fairly well close to the ground. Just feeling the hamstrings. Should not feel the low back at all, just the hamstrings. The more we push our knee in, just like we're trying to squeeze a ball, the more we're going to get medial inside hamstring again, which is key, like we've been talking about. All right, so let's say you had still some lateral knee pain as you were doing knee extensions previously. Now you've done hamstring curls seated and hamstring bridges, both double, working towards single leg, either on a foam roller or flat from the ground, where you really feel the hamstrings, medial hamstrings engaging for 10 to 30 seconds. You do multiple sets of that. Oftentimes you can immediately come back and try this knee extension and it will feel a lot more looser for you. Not always the case. Maybe you need to spend more time on the hamstrings, but oftentimes you can get right back into this exercise and do it without so much lateral knee discomfort. So keep that in mind as you're progressing through this. Then what it also allows us to do is it allows us to get into some general strengthening exercises that you would typically do in the weight room, such as squats and lunges. Now, I really like the heels elevated versions of these squats because it drives the knee forward. It forces us to use our quad. And again, the more we can quiet the lateral knee, quiet the IT band as we go through a full squat, full depth, full knee flexion, knee bend. As you drop down into the squat, the more we can quiet the lateral knee on that, the better off you're going to be, the more you're going to be able to get back into running or whatever activity that you want to do. So, in order to do that, you can get your feet, you can elevate it on a plate. I have these slant boards here that are nice to use, but again, just a plate or a book or anything that you got to elevate the heels. All that you're going to do is go through a full squat. If pain hurts to go down all the way, you use a bench to stop your range of motion through partial ranges, and then you can add some resistance as that feels comfortable. Eventually you can remove the bench and go through a full range of motion. But again, I like the heels elevated version. Also, as you drop down, we're going to also emphasize medial inside aspect of the heel. So as we sit down, we're emphasizing inside aspect of the heel as we squat and lower down. From the front side view, again, we're emphasizing inside medial heel as we squat down. That's where the pressure is as you lower your center of mass down. It doesn't mean that we're just knock-kneeing and caving on inwards. A little knee internal rotation, hip internal rotation was never bad, but we also want to make sure we keep the pressure here, but we keep the tripod pressure equal, big toe, little toe, and heel. So always should have that tripod foot as you go down, but you're just going to emphasize a little bit of calcaneal eversion, a little bit of inside heel pressure, and again, that's going to reduce some of the tone that you got in the lateral knee as you squat down, go through a full depth, full range of motion, start adding load to that. If you don't have any load, you can just simply progress to a single leg. Same sort of thing. We're emphasizing a little bit of calcaneal eversion, a little bit of inside heel pressure. As you squat down, let your center of mass sink down, come right back up, tap the bench. This is a way of increasing load if you don't have weights. to progress to. It's also another variation that you can throw in at the gym as well. Finally, the last exercise we're going to talk about is just a simple forward lunge. Forward lunges force you to decelerate forward momentum. We're still going to emphasize medial heel pressure. It's not global heel eversion or knee valgus. You still want your knee to just kind of move naturally where it wants to go when you put pressure here. So the knee will move very minimally, but it doesn't have to be rigid, staying in one place. We just want to put pressure through the inside of that heel. That's going to allow us to decrease tone on the lateral side of your knee where your IT band inserts. It's going to allow you to perform this lunge much more comfortably. Again, we'll add load as this feels more and more comfortable for the individual. Finally, once all those things become comfortable and non-painful, you're able to train all those movements successfully, then it's time to take it up a notch, take it up to a notch where you're performing more dynamic movements, where you're getting jumping, hopping, skipping, those type of quicker paced movements where you're getting more dynamic loading at the knee joint and still expecting the same results, where we're not getting this overactivation, overtone, over stiffness of the lateral knee. We still want the knee and our movement to feel fluid, but that goes back to everything we built in the foundation, and we don't want to move too quickly through the process, or else that's where flare-ups tend to happen. Take 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So make sure you build the foundation up nice and solid first, progress at a logical manner based upon your symptoms and how you do with all those movements. But if you're getting back to running, jumping, playing sports, we have to allow the individual to run, jump, change direction, and still feel the same benefits, the same fluidity that you would have with all the strength and conditioning exercises. That movement has to carry over into the dynamic realm. Alright guys, so if you found that helpful, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the alerts button. Check that off too so you get notified any new videos coming out your way. If you have any questions, remarks about this video, type them in the comments below, or suggestions for future videos coming up.
Hey, thanks for watching. Hope you got a lot out of the information in today's video. If you like this type of content, if you could do us a huge favor by liking the channel, subscribing to the channel, and hit that alert button so you get notified when any new videos come out your way. Also, if you're a rehab clinician looking to take your clinical skill knowledge to the next level and seeing how you can better help your patients, visit sportsrehabexpert.com, where we got a lot more information that can help you along the way, as well as our certified sports rehab expert course. This is 2 courses that give you a sports rehab residency or an orthopedic fellowship type education in half the time at a fraction of the cost. So visit sportsrehabexpert.com to check out these 2 courses. We have the Human Assessment Mastery course and the Full Body Treatment Domination course. And finally, maybe you aren't a rehab clinician watching this video. Maybe you're someone just looking to keep an active, healthy, mobile, athletic lifestyle without painkillers and frequent visits to the doctor's office. If you're located in Ann Arbor, Michigan, you're in luck. Just visit annarbor.physio and you can set up your appointment today. If you're not from around the Ann Arbor or the Michigan area, no worries. We do a lot of online video consultation services from people all over the globe as well too. So you can reach us at annarbor.physio or at sportsrehabexpert.com, and we'd love to learn more about how we can help you out.